Welcome to the New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Kacy. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. Today is Monday, April 14th. It's Tax Day Eve, Rich. I hope you're ready for it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I got to get my my estimated taxes in. I forgot about that.
There you go. Yeah. This is episode number 306. I am one of the hosts of this podcast, Jerry Evanoff, and I just got home from work, and I'm still heart beating here. I need to calm down a little bit. And with me, as he is each week, is Rich Kacy, who didn't work today, so he's a little more calm than I am. How are you, Rich?
I'm actually worn out because I spent the whole day crawling around in the greenhouse replacing the joists and the floorboards and everything because the termites had gotten to it. Finally, everything gets termited here eventually, and that's one of the dangers of living in the deep south. But so yeah, I've been doing my exercise for a day, and also apparently I'm lo-fi because I'm looking up at my little picture here on the screen, and it keeps on flashing. This recording is in higher quality, so I must be lo-fi today. So.
Yeah, okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
sometimes you need a day like that, you know.
Yeah,
you can't be hi-fi all the time.
I guess. Yeah.
All right, so let me jump into the stats from last week. Again, we're doing this on a Monday again, just because I kind of like the Monday. I gotta be honest, I don't hate it. I like it better than a Sunday, and I'll talk about why when I get to my Sunday recap. But we can keep doing this on Monday if you want. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we just have to be late because
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
all right, so let me get into my stats here. My goal this past week was 6,000 words. I didn't get anywhere near it. I was at 3,007, and that's because I got 1,500 today. I'll talk about what I did instead. I did write in the series. I didn't miss any days, and it was actually a pretty good week in terms of getting this book done. This novella is up now. Oddly enough, even though I only wrote 3,007 new words, the book's actually up 5,244 words to 17,356. Again, 25,000 is what I'm shooting for. This is approximately 12 of the 20 chapters that I now have plotted finished. Although I didn't finish chapter 19 today. I got most of the way done. I still have to write an actual murder, so that'll be fun tomorrow. My total for the year is at 53,988, which is on the way to that 145 goal. So we are not even 33% of the way through the year, and I am over 33% of the way done. So that's good. And my word count actually went up this week. 1,250 per hour is what I'm hitting now, which again, significantly more than the word count last week. I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit. What's helped? There is something that's helped me with that this year that I'll talk about when I get to probably maybe my Monday recap, my today recap. So, yeah.
Well, I have a question about the new math here, and I can kind of see. I can kind of see in what you wrote here, that you said you had only 3,007 new words today, but book 7.5 was up 5,244 because of editing and stuff.
Yes.
So you don't count new words that you add during editing as new words? So
I'm going to say, I'm not sure what you meant by the word count, so I'm going to use it twice in this sentence.
Okay.
I don't count them because I don't count them.
Okay.
I'm not sure which count you meant, but just that should help clear it up. Yeah. I don't actually pay attention. Like I don't look at a chapter and go, oh, this chapter was 1,100. I edited. Now it's 1,200. Unless it's like, I added 3 paragraphs to the end. But if I'm just going through it, adding sentences and words, and the reason I do that, Rich, is completely selfish. It's because I feel like if I do that, I'd have to count negative when I take words away, and I don't want to count negative.
Oh, okay.
I always want to be positive. So yes, that's why I do it actually. Yeah.
Oh, I never worry about the words I take away because I figured that they were garbage words. But
right. There was the editing. There were 2 different styles of editing that I did this week that I'll talk about that contributed to that extra. What is that? 2,237 words that ended up in the book. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. For my stats, in this you'll show you how I deal with them.
Yeah.
In my stats, I finally finished editing romance number 1 this week. I lost a total of 2,982 words in the process. That story stands at 61,304 words.
Nice.
And I still think I need to give it another pass before I send it off to anybody to edit. So I'm going to put it on a shelf for a little while, let it cool off.
Let me do this. Let me do this real quick. Let me just do this.
Yay! Nice.
I love morning zoo radio.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put down the shelf for a while. So, but losing 2,982 words, I don't count that against my total for the year. No,
Okay.
that would be madness,
Yeah.
as they used to say.
Because you did write those words, they did count as new words. You just got rid of them. That's all.
That's right.
But you did write them.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wrote a short story. I was really bored one night at work and wrote a short story about a small penguin and his escape from the zoo. Basically, it was all about my son's stuffed penguin and that his wife crocheted for him. And every time we text him, the small penguin comes on during the, not texting, but during the, well, sometimes texting, during our Skyping. He comes on the screen and shit talks the whole time. So he's got a very sarcastic attitude. So
I like that you wrote into the outline here that it was an origin story for that particular.
It was an origin story because because she crocheted for him, but I wrote that what really happened is he escaped from the zoo, and long story short, and when he was about to be recaptured, he jumped into their beach bag without anybody seeing and followed them home. So
nice.
That was 2,835 words. So basically, I'm pretty much, even if I did count the words I lost on the editing, I'm pretty much net even for the week. Picked up 5 new non-bot followers on Blue Sky, solely because I spent about an hour shitposting with a friend of mine about the disturbing similarity between my unruly library patrons and her problematic retail customers.
Yeah.
So, and people like that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yes, picked up a few followers there.
All right, so getting into my recap last week. So I think I talked about Monday last week because we recorded on Monday. I'm going to do it again. I don't care. I'm just going to do it here. So we had super slippery roads last Monday, and I heard a traffic report around 5:15. Where usually when I hear that traffic report around 5:15, it's like every highway into Cleveland is fine. There's no traffic. Well, this one had accidents all over the place. So I actually gave myself, much like schools do, I gave myself a 1 hour delay. I went in at 8 o'clock, and decided to take a little bit of a shorter lunch. I wrote 734 words in 35 minutes, and that was the last number of words I wrote until yesterday, for a very interesting reason. I also received an email on that day that's going to put I think I talked about this last week, it's going to put the 13 straight weeks of no vacation days into some serious jeopardy. Although right now, I'm not sure yet. We're 50-50 right now. I got an email from a guy in my golf league who said, "Hey, I'm doing an outing next Friday, which is this coming Friday. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I do." And now there's a super busy thing going on at work that needs to be done by next Wednesday. And I'm in the middle. I mean, I'm knee deep in the middle of creating stuff for this demo. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to golf or not on Friday, but we'll see. So either way, it's a win-win for me. I get the golf, or I can keep my 13 weeks consecutive streak alive of no vacation. So we'll see. In the afternoon that day, I did order that Dyson Cards NASCAR game that I talked about last week. In fact, here's one of the charts. Here's a race results chart. So there's I got it sitting here ready to play. I'm going to play around with it after the podcast tonight. So we'll talk about that.
Does it look promising?
It does. It just seems also really complicated, at least to set up. Yeah. And I've tried to set it up 4 times now, and each time I've done it wrong. But I think I'm good. Like, I think I know what I got all the way to the last step last night. I'm sorry, 2 nights ago. I got all the way to the last step and realized I was doing the last step wrong, but I know what I did wrong. It was just a simple mistake. So I think I'm going to try it again.
That sounds like the last board game we got, new board game, Wingspan. It took us about 4 or 5 tries before we finally figured out exactly what they were saying and how to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were going through the instructions, trying to do it and going, what in the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, this isn't like Scrabble or right. One of those easy games. These games nowadays are complicated.
Right.
They're fun. You just got to understand them. But so Tuesday, again, freezing cold out. Roads were better than the previous day. I checked there was a baseball game. This is the Indians or the Guardians, whatever they're called now, opening day game. It was at home. It was at 4 o'clock. I checked my parking app at 5:45 in the morning. We're talking 10 hours and 50 minutes before the game started, and prices were already $60 in the lot that I park in. It's criminal. They should be arrested. Luckily, the parking lot right behind the building, which is really just a couple blocks from the stadium, it was $8. And so I parked there. I was very happy about that. I actually waited about a half an hour. I gave myself like half an hour delay on this day. And I got up there.
What does a garage normally cost?
So this is a ground lot.
Oh, it's a ground lot. Okay.
The garage, I don't know what the garage is right next door. The Playhouse Square garage was $25, but we worked a deal with them to where we just get it for $8 like normal. I don't know how we got. Well, we get little stickers, and then you scan the sticker on the way out, and they'll give you the $8 price.
So that's what you normally pay is $8.
Oh, so in my ground lot, I normally pay. It's so funny. I pay $9.45. $9 because that's what it costs, and 45 cents because I use the app to pay instead of going to those dumb, terrible machines. But the parking lot in the back is $8. It's $7.55, and then they add the 45 cents in to make it $8. That's smart. And so I'm still not going to park back there though, because I like the lot that I park in. But so I got there, got to work. So at lunch, there was no writing for me at all. We had our little baseball celebration. We had like an opening day celebration, hot dogs and nachos and cheese and popcorn and Cracker Jacks, and take me out to the ball game and whatnot. And I went back to my desk and just ate there. It wasn't like a get together. You just go get food and go back to your desk. I really needed to work out. So this book is basically two plots that are, and I've talked about this, but this book is two plots that are weaved together into one book. And I didn't want it to be what I had originally outlined, which was like 12 chapters where, hey, chapter 1, my killer kills someone. And chapter 2, hey, guess what? My killer kills someone. And that's boring. There's no plot there. It's like a documentary, basically. So I had to weave in a plot. So what I came up with was one of the students in his class is a pretty smart guy. And he starts to kind of spar with the professor, and the professor's enjoying it. He really likes this. He's like, hey, finally, somebody in here that's intelligent enough to be in this class, not realizing that the students start to suspect him of these murders. And I needed to weave that plot line in. So I sat with ChatGPT and worked on it for a while, and came up with like a bunch of plot points for that student. I actually named the student after one of my favorite names in my 1989 APBA football card set, and that is Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Tommy Kane. I named him Thomas Kane after this guy. And I don't know why. I just thought, ever since I started playing with that set, like, a year ago, the first time I played with Seattle, I saw Tommy Kane. I'm like, I got to name a character after Tommy Kane. It's just a great name. So
it's a name. It sounds like it could either be a pulp detective or maybe somebody off of Mad Men would be.
Yeah. Well, don't get too used to him, because what I'm doing is I'm doing kind of a reverse. I'm going to call it a reverse amateur sleuth, where, my main character, Sam, is not in this book until about halfway through. So the semester ends at the halfway point or thereabouts. And this Kane is now not in his class anymore. The professor's kind of relieved, because he's like, okay, he's gone. I don't have to worry about him anymore, except he turns into like a Columbo type of student who just keeps showing up different places and kind of asking that one more question to the professor without actually accusing him, but like making comments, asking questions. Well, at the same time, my main character gets obsessed with Sam. So in the book, this Tommy Kane is kind of like taking the role on of the amateur sleuth. Except at the very end of the book, when he says, I know you did it, and here's how I know it, the serial killer then kills him. And which, how many times have you watched Murder, She Wrote, and you've seen Jessica Fletcher alone with the bad guy, and she's like, I know you did it, and here's why. And he's like, oh, I'm going to kill you now. And then the police bust him.
Right.
Well, in my book, they don't bust him. He's dead. Gone. And then it goes right into book 8, where now Sam, the amateur sleuth, has to catch him. So that's kind of how I'm playing. I actually think it's a really neat idea.
I don't know why, but this is giving me vibes of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Have you ever read that book?
I have not.
Or seen the movie?
No.
The movie, it was really dark and lots of, weird dead people stuff. And
yeah, that's probably why I haven't seen the movie.
And other stuff. What was really weird about the movie, and I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched some clips on YouTube. Yeah, I did read the book. The book was really good. It's that, I don't know how they shot it, but literally everything in there is kind of a grainy, dull, gray-green color. I mean, it just looks depressing when you look at it. It's weird.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a very interesting movie.
No. Well, characters were very interesting.
So you really didn't play it up at all.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah, right. No, that is what I did.
The only good thing is it had the guy, one of the lead roles, not the girl, but another reporter, was the guy. I'm blanking on his name. The last Bond.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah, was in it. Yeah.
Okay.
So he did a really good job.
Yeah. No, okay. Maybe I'll read. I don't mind reading those books. I'm not watching those movies. I wouldn't even watch my own book if it was a TV show.
Okay.
It would be too scary for me. So yeah, I'm a softie. So anyway, so I did that until I ran out of time, and I wasn't able to finish. I ran out of time there, but I really liked the direction I was going in with as soon as I started thinking of him as a Columbo style amateur sleuth who doesn't survive the end. I thought, okay, now I got something here, and I kind of worked off of that throughout the story. Wednesday, I was in the office for the third straight day. And that's because on Thursday, there was a baseball game at 1:00, and I had Writers Club that evening. So that, driving to the office and back probably wasn't a smart idea for parking reasons and for my own time reasons. So I was in on Wednesday for the third straight day. And at lunch, there was just more organizing the plot. I actually created a Google Doc a month or so ago where I started putting chapter by chapter or act by act or plot point by plot point. I mean, I had about 4 different copies of the plot in there, and I opened this up and started doing it again. I moved everything down, got a really good plot, and then started moving stuff, the pieces I liked, into that plot. So by the time I was done, I had a 21-page plot. I deleted everything else, and I felt good about that. Again, a lot of that Tommy Kane storyline is what I was doing, making lots of notes, and now we're getting into making notes in the earlier chapters that I already written, and in some cases writing paragraphs in there, which is where a lot of those new words came from.
Okay.
In fact, that's about where 2,000 of those new words came from, is going through all the different chapters and adding in, I instead of just making a note that said, hey, add the character in doing this, I just went in and wrote, because it's like a paragraph or maybe a couple paragraphs. So that's kind of why I did that. So again, used my whole lunch break doing this. Wasn't done yet. Thursday, I worked from home. Nothing writing related on this day, except what I did was, what did I really write in here? That's weird, because this was like 4 days ago, and I had my writers club, so I don't know why I wrote in there that I did nothing. So at lunchtime, because I was at home, I was able to actually read the story, the chapter 1 of this book. I read it out loud to myself. When I'm at work, I can't read it out loud, but here I read it out loud. I found a lot of things to change. I made a lot of corrections. By the time I was done, I added a few hundred more words, which is where more of those words came from. This is again the different kind. I did 2 different styles of editing. This was just regular editing. The other one was like making changes. It was like a revision almost. So I was really happy with it when I was done. I went to Writers Club that night and read it. I mean, they all liked it. They always do. Gave me a couple of small critiques that I have. I made notes on my own copy, and it's in there. And when I go back to edit chapter 1, I'll take a look at what they did for me, and we'll take it from there. So that was Thursday, and then Friday, working from home again. Nothing writing related on this one, and I literally didn't do anything. I got off work, and I was gonna play some football, and just couldn't bring myself to actually walk into the back room. I just sat on the couch and watched TV. I mean, I was watching the Masters. It went until about 7:30, 8 o'clock that night, making dinner and that kind of thing. So it was fine. Saturday, I was up. I woke up at 5:45 Saturday. I don't know why. I wasn't happy about it. And I just got up. Went to Chick-fil-A, and this is where I really started to weave in everything that happened. So I got the Tommy Kane stuff done, but now I needed to make sure I had a timeline correct for all the stuff that happens through the first 7 books. I had originally written those to happen over like a 2-year period, but because I wanted the first half of this book 7.5 to be over a semester where my professor has Tommy Kane in class, and then I wanted the second half of this book to happen along with books 1 through 7 over another semester where Kane isn't in class anymore, but it's about a 5 to 6 month period. I went in and redid the timelines for the first 7 books, understanding when they happen. I don't have a specific year in, like I wasn't like, oh, this is November 2021. I just said this is November. This is December, that kind of thing. And there are a lot of books where I wrote weather stuff in there. I'm going to have to change that up once I get to editing, but I made notes for all of that.
Although, if you did pick a year, then you could pick a, whatever serial killer, etc. was, serial killing was happening at that time, mass murder or whatever. And you could kind of weave that in and have the professor be really upset that somebody's taken his space.
I don't hate that idea.
Yeah.
I'd have to, it'd have to be in like the Georgia area, but I don't hate that idea. It's actually
there was recently one in Georgia, wasn't there? I think.
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'll have to look. That sounds like a great idea. I like that. I like weaving what are those? Those are the people write history books that are fiction. What is that called?
What they call it, historical fiction or
historical fiction. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. I said it right. Yeah, historical fiction. I enjoy that because it's like, here's the thing that happened in real life and then a bunch of fake stuff around it.
Right.
I kind of like that. Yeah. So I went in now and I started, again, working on the timelines, making changes. And again, by the time I was done, I had this 21-page Google Doc that was a really, really good in-depth plot, which made it really easy to write. That was Chick-fil-A in the morning. I came home, and this is where the punish my body started. I decided to play my football game, and I played an entire game, which was like 3 hours of standing at this table. And after about 2 hours, my back is just in agony. But I want to finish the game. So I do. And then I go in the other room and I post it. I come back here half an hour later. I open up the NASCAR game. I start playing around with that. And I'm like, I'm going to race tonight. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, I'm not going to race tonight. My back hurts so bad. So I just posted it as like an unboxing video. And then I went on the couch and just sat, reclined for like 3 hours until I felt a little bit better. The problem is that on Friday, I got a text from my buddy Dave who said, I got a tea time for Sunday, 7:44 a.m. Are you in? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm in. And so I woke up at 6, I think it was on yesterday morning, drove to the golf course to come and encounter a 2-hour frost delay. So we basically just sat there for 2 hours in the clubhouse. They don't have food there, except for like potato chips and candy bars. They used to have a cook there, and she used to make the greatest breakfast sandwiches of all time. And she left a couple of years ago because her husband bought a bar. She had to go work with him. It's a whole mess. And he never hired anyone. He couldn't find anybody to hire. And so you just sit there and you just chat. We watched a little bit of the Masters highlights on the TV, and you just wait until the frost melts so that you can walk on the greens without breaking the grass. It's horrible. But by the time we started, it was about 35 degrees when I got there. By the time we started, the frost was gone. It was about 9:30, and I am just killing the ball. Like, you'd think it was the middle of summer. I usually don't shoot below 90. I don't break 90 until the middle of summer. I shot 89.
Wow.
All legit shots, no mulligans, no lost balls, no penalty strokes. Like, it was great. I think I had, of the 18 holes, I had 8 one-putts, and they weren't long one-putts. I was chipping up really close to the hole. Man, did it feel good. Like, I'm so excited to play now this weekend when it was soaking wet. I was getting no roll, but I was hitting my driver straight. I was hitting a long way with no roll. I can't wait till it dries out and I start getting roll. I'm going to be hitting at like 215, 220, which is going to be amazing. So I came home from golf. I'm already, I'm twisting. My back had hurt the previous day. I'm twisting like crazy. My back's still hurting. So I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and started working on the next chapter. And I don't remember. What's weird is I'm looking at this right now and I didn't. Oh, there it is. I said, I don't remember what I did at Buffalo Wild Wings. I worked on chapter 18. Oh, there it is. 723 words. So I did a little bit more with the timeline and catching up the notes and making changes to previous chapters, adding more words to previous chapters. But in the end, I wrote chapter 18, 723 words, and came home and immediately had to turn around and cut the grass, which, again, killing my back. Came inside and came back here and was like, okay, I'm going to play my football game today. I got a game, play the NASCAR game. And I got back here, and after about 3 minutes of standing, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. I just went into the other room and laid on the couch the rest of the night. And when I woke up this morning, my back felt great. I got up at 5 and went to work and went to lunch and wrote 1,550 words into chapter 19, which was amazing. I will say this about AI. I've always said I don't use it to write prose, which I don't think I use it to write prose. But what I've been doing lately is I've been taking like a paragraph from my outline and saying, can you rewrite this for me? Give me some emotion and some description. And then that's kind of like my zero draft.
Right.
And I kind of paste that in, move it all the way to the bottom. And then I write based on that as my outline. Yeah. And I think that's really helped me because I'm not pausing to come up with words that I just have trouble with. I have trouble with, like, when you describe how someone's scared. I don't want to write he's scared. I want to be better than that. So right. That's really what I've been doing. And I think that's really helped my word count speed up in terms of, I'm really happy about it. I mean, it's the last couple, really this year I've been doing that, but the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of this book and near the end of the book I wrote, book 7 or book 6, I was doing it there too. And it's just working so well. And, I say I don't write prose and maybe you can argue that I do. I'm calling it my zero draft, because I just take the outline and turn it into paragraphs. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I paste it in, move it down, and then I just kind of write off of that when I do it. And it's going great. I love it. I can't wait. This is a fun book to write. I can't wait till it's done.
What model are you using?
I do it mostly in ChatGPT, but I'll use I'll do one of two things. I'll use ChatGPT because it's free and I really like ChatGPT. It does a really good job. Or if I'm in Novel Crafter, I'll just you hit the little slash,
Right.
and the chat window comes up, and I'll say something like, "Give me the atmosphere for this scene. Give me the background description for this scene," and then I'll write out a paragraph of he's here. Here's what's going on, and then it writes it, and I apply it, and then I move it down, and I just rewrite it myself based on the words and stuff that I saw, and then I delete what came.
Okay, so you still
and that's Sonnet.
Oh, that's Sonnet. Okay,
that's Sonnet 3.7. And you know, my credits, I put $20 on there back at the end of February, and I've been writing this book for about 3 weeks now. I used it pretty heavily to plot, and I'm still at like $8.50 left on my credits. So that $20 is going to last me probably 2.5 to 3 months.
Right.
Which is really nice.
It takes a while to burn it off.
Yeah. Although, even with Sonnet being as expensive as
I was going to say, although Sonnet's one of the most expensive ones you can use. So in the OpenAI stuff, you're using 4.0 or?
Yeah, you know why? Because I created in ChatGPT a Sam Norris murder mystery custom GPT for myself that has a whole bunch of stuff about the series. And when I did that, 4.0 I think was the one. In fact, let me see. I'll just ask it. I'll go into my latest. Right here's my latest chat, and I'll say, what version of Chat GPT is this? And we'll see what it says. It says this is a long chat, so it always takes a long time to reply. Yeah, GPT-4 Turbo.
4 Turbo. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, so not 4.0.
Right.
Okay.
I think they're gonna kill off 4.0. I saw that.
Really?
Eventually they're looking to kill it off. Yeah. I don't know when, but I've seen a couple headlines that say they're looking to do that.
Yeah, I don't really use that. Usually I'll use 3.5 if I'm doing something, because that seemed to be the nicest one when I was using it. So.
Yeah, this one's been good, and really I use this one for more plotting. I don't really use it for, again, I'm calling it my zero draft. I don't use it for that very often. But sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll go into Sonnet and I'll do it, and then I'll take the same thing and put it into ChatGPT. I'll have to give it more details because ChatGPT doesn't have that same memory. You can't look back at the previous chapters like Novel Crafter does. But I'll compare them. I'll use words from both.
Right.
It's really like a giant thesaurus slash what's that word hippo? What is word hippo? I think that's a thesaurus also. That's a site Lindsay showed me a long time ago.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you're looking for alternative words. Yeah.
So that's what I'll do. So I'm always writing the sentences myself, but I am taking words, descriptors, emotion stuff. Sometimes I rewrite them because they do a terrible job, or sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a good word, or that's a good phrase, and I'll throw it in there.
Right.
For the most part, I've been doing that lately, and it's really working well.
Yeah. For the most part, I found that none of the models really does a good job with subtlety in the emotion area.
Yeah.
And you do have to go in there. 3.5, Sonnet 3.5, I think does the best, but even it's not very good. So yeah, you have to go in yourself and make it a little less obvious about what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then I got home, right before we started podcasting, and after we're done tonight, I'm probably going to play this NASCAR game, get some dinner, and get up in the morning and do it all over again. So.
Well, as opposed to your week, my week was just deadly dull dishwater the whole week. I worked Monday. Well, we podcasted last Monday. I worked Tuesday through Sunday, through yesterday. Found little bits of time here and there in order to work on Romance 3. Was able to actually finish that up by Thursday, I think, which was kind of surprising because I had like about almost 8 chapters. I think it was 8 chapters left to go when we recorded last Monday, and I didn't think I'd even get half those done. But yeah, people actually came into work like they were supposed to a couple days, so I had some time off. I could get in the back and play around with it. So got that finished, and then embarked on doing that on let's see, what day was that? On Friday, I started working on that Penguin story. I was just giggling to myself while I was writing it. And yesterday I was when I was sitting there at the computer at the public desk, it was really slow being Sunday. I was going to post it to Blue Sky because you can post. They have a way to do threaded posts But it took me 2 or 3 tries to figure out how to actually do it. And by the time I figured out how to do it, I had killed like over an hour. And I said, no, I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah, so the only thing that was really interesting that happened is that oftentimes when I work the weekends and I work Sunday, I'll either on Saturday or Sunday, I'll stop at the donut shop and bring in donuts or something for everybody else because just because you buy people's loyalty through their stomachs. And
I do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I do that too.
Yeah. But this time, what I did is instead, I don't like donuts are okay. I'll eat donuts, but what I really like are apple fritters, and I bought 15 or 16 apple fritters and brought them in. These huge plate-sized apple fritters. I mean, there's as big as your head, and I've never seen a bunch of women jump on things like they did on those. And for half of them, they'd never had an apple fritter before. I feel, where have you been? That's the premium of donuts. So yeah, I got a lot of kudos for that and built up a lot of political capital. Hopefully they'll be able to burn off at some point. But other than that, my week was dull. Today was interesting because I started ripping apart the foundation and subfloor of my wife's greenhouse because I think I said this off air earlier, but being in the deep South, everything eventually gets termites if it's wood. Even the treated wood will eventually get termites in it. And we've had that greenhouse sitting out there now for probably 10, 12 years. And we didn't get it brand new. We actually bought it off of somebody who was getting rid of it and had it moved over here, stick by stick, actually, and had somebody put it back together. And it's not small. It's 10 by 25 feet. So I'm happy it lasts as long as it is. It's going to take me a good couple of weeks, I think, in order to get the whole thing redone, because what I can only do a little piece at a time. I have to get it solid and then move on to the next little piece. Otherwise, I might as well just knock the whole thing down and redo it. So I was out there at 8:00 this morning, and I just crawled in like about 4:45 or something like that. And I signed in, and you weren't there, and I went to lay down on the couch, and I had a hard time getting myself back up because I was tired. But yeah, so nothing with my week. Didn't make my goal. I think I set a goal of 5,000 words. Didn't come close. I did have almost 2,000 or 3,000 words, which I guess has to be good enough for this week.
Running lists?
Nothing. Absolutely
nothing. Yeah, me either. I mean, it's the same as it's been. Start mapping out how each book's going to be connected to each other. Drawings and Instagram ads, things like that. In terms of my addicted to, it's this NASCAR game. It's called Red, White, and Blue Racing. It's by a company called Play, which is Plaay. And I played their football game like 25 years ago. They had a computer football game. I was in a league where I would play. You could dial in against other people from around the world and play against them. You call your offensive and defensive plays. They do the same. It was fun, but I hadn't played their stuff in a while. But I kept seeing these videos on this NASCAR game. So once I got the game, the last 4 or 5 days, I've spent a lot of time watching on YouTube how to play and how to set it up, things like that. I think I have a pretty good idea of it, which we'll try out today.
Right. I didn't put anything down on my addicted to, although something just occurred to me that we've had every single day in the last week. And that is, I think, did I mention to you that, one of the things we've gotten into is making our homemade chocolate pudding. That, for some reason, the milk we've been buying, we've not been able to finish it fast enough. We usually have half a gallon before it starts turning a little bit. And it's even been turning a little bit earlier than it should. And I got a feeling it's because Walmart's not handling it correctly. But anyway, so we've been making a lot of chocolate pudding. So not this past week, but the week before, I made some chocolate pudding. When I make it with a half a gallon, that's a lot of chocolate pudding to eat. So we had some left over. So every day this week, I've been filling up these little ramekins half full with chocolate pudding and then putting vanilla bean ice cream on it. And then dusting it with cocoa powder. So that's probably my addiction for the week. Ice cream with chocolate pudding. Yep. I can highly recommend it. Not for the waistline, but
Yeah, nothing good is for the waistline.
Yeah.
Nothing bad is whatever. Anyway. All right, look, I mean, we got a short podcast today. Not a lot going on for either of us. Coming up this week, tomorrow, I'm going into the office. I will write at lunch. This is my last Tuesday of no golf league in the evening because the
Wow.
league starts next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. And it goes all the way until the Tuesday right before Tuesday right before Labor Day. So I'm very much looking forward to that start, especially with the way I hit yesterday. It was like I was freezing cold and I was wearing a lot of clothing, but yet I was just hitting the ball really well. And those of you who listened at the end of last year and actually cared at the end of last year, I changed my grip. But I wasn't using my driver. I was just using my 5-wood off the tee, and I started using my driver yesterday for the first time, and I was just killing the ball. So very happy about that. So I'll write at lunch. I'll continue this chapter 19, and then I'll move on to chapter 20, which is the final chapter, and then I'll go back and fill in the chapters that I skipped. And now that I have kind of good plot lines for them, I think I'll do a pretty good job of getting this done quickly. Wednesday, I'm working from home. I will try to make the library at lunch. I've been kind of hit or miss with that the last couple months, but I will do my best to get over there. Thursday, I'm back in the office and I will write at lunch. Friday, I was invited to a golf league or a golf outing. And I really want to go. Like I said earlier, I really want to go, but we're in the middle of this big demo for work, and I'm in the middle of creating stuff that's going to be shown at the demo. So I may have to work. There's a chance I could get my part done. I mean, there's a chance I can get it done tomorrow. It's really not that complicated. There's just some things that have to be done with it once I'm finished with the code that I may have to be around to help with, and I'm not sure yet. So we'll see. So either way, I'll either write. Well, if it's Friday and I'm working from home, I probably won't write at all. But if I'm working in the, if I go golf in the morning and I'm done golfing by 12:30, 1 o'clock, I may go write somewhere for a couple hours after golf. We'll see. Saturday, I have another tea time, 7:44 a.m. I'm very excited. As long as the weather holds off, I'll golf, come home right afterward. And then Sunday, same thing, 7:17 a.m. and I'll come home and go somewhere and write a little bit more. One good thing about the golf starting, I don't know if I said this last week, but one good thing about the golf starting is I no longer have to rely on Panera breakfast on Sunday mornings. I don't like their food. It's too non-basic for me. I just give me a bacon, egg, and cheese on a muffin and I'm happy, but it's got to be like a special kind of cheese and a special kind of bread, and it's got to be like a triangle, and it's just and I can't get any kind of a good potato there. It's just not a good place for someone who's boring like me when it comes to food. I don't want to try anything new.
So where are you having breakfast on Saturday and Sunday?
No. I golf, so I come home, I can go to any place in the afternoon that's open. Like I can go get a burrito, or I went to Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday. On Sunday mornings, we don't have much around here where I can go right and get breakfast.
Okay.
In fact, there really isn't anything at all. Chick-fil-A's closed. There's a couple of restaurants, but I'm not going to sit in a waitress's section.
Right.
Where at Buffalo Wild Wings, the waitress has the entire section, and there's nobody there. If it was crowded, I would have left.
Yeah.
But so that's why I'll probably go to like Hothead. I've been to Hothead months. I'll probably start going back there on the weekends. So that's another good thing about the fact that golf is starting. So my goal for this week is 5,000 words. And to get right now, I have 12 of the 20 chapters to get 12 of the 20 chapters finished. My goal is to have 15 finished by the end of the week. So 5,000 words and 15 chapters. That'll put me at 75% of the way. I wanted to get done by the end of April. I still have a couple weeks to go. So I think I'm going to make it. And that means I can get started on book 8 in May, which is what I want.
It occurred to me while you were talking that you should wear the exact same clothing you wore this last week when you go to golf, because it's probably restricting your movement in all the right ways.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah, in all the right ways. So
I was wearing a long sleeve t-shirt. I've probably never worn a long sleeve t-shirt on the golf course. I rarely wear them anyway, but I have a work one that we got like last year for Christmas or something that actually feels okay. And so I wore a long sleeve t-shirt over a t-shirt with a heavy hoodie, but on the 5th hole, I took the hoodie off. It was probably 45 degrees. But that was restricting. And regardless of whether I was wearing it or not, I was killing the ball. It was great.
Yeah, great.
So much fun.
This coming week for me is just going to be a mess. The only day I'm actually working is tomorrow, Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll have the day off because my normal day. It's complicated, but the way they're shifting things around because of the way the holidays have fallen on my work schedule. I've got Wednesday off. I'll continue working in the greenhouse. Probably not have any time for writing. Thursday, I have an annual staff retreat, to attend, which should be deadly dull and boring.
What staff?
Library staff.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Closing down all the libraries, and everybody's meeting at the main branch and doing like in-service training of some kind or another.
Oh, I thought it was like a big drunken party.
Oh no, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, and then there's the holiday, and the church thinks it's surrounded. And then in the Anglican Church, you're basically doing things nonstop Thursday through Sunday. And there's like and in those 4 days, there's like 5 different services to do. So I'll be having to run the AV for all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be wasted. Well, I don't know, not wasted time, but I won't be able to do any writing or anything there. So if nothing gets done by Wednesday night, I don't think I'm going to have anything done by the next time we podcast. So I'm not even going to mention a goal. If I get 100 words, I'll be happy. So,
anything greater than 0 is a win.
Yeah, anything greater than 0 for this week will be a win. Easter week is really strange.
Yeah, I remember it from last year with you.
Yeah, really bizarre. And I really don't have anything additional to share. I did listen to the podcast with James Blatch. About the cereals. And what I found interesting, not necessarily that they did the podcast on the cereals after you sent the question in about how to structure a cereal. What I found interesting is that they are now going to put a question and the answers behind a Patreon wall. And, you pay up, we'll give an answer to your question. Is basically what it amounts to.
I subscribed to their Patreon the first day they announced it. I don't really do much with that. Like, I feel like it's for me, that's more about just paying them for their. I'm getting so much entertainment from them. Like the Mystery Science Theater guys, I pay all of them. I'm Riff Track's friends, and I do the Patreon, and I do the 372 Patreon, and I do all the different Kickstarters they do because I feel like I've gotten so much enjoyment from them over the last 30 years.
Right.
30 years, yeah, going on almost 30 years. That I feel like it's my way of paying them. But I don't know if I won't get onto the Discord. I'm not a Discord person. And I probably won't even do much on the actual Patreon page other than just, they'll say my name next week maybe, and that'll be it. I just feel like I pay them. I like paying them because I think it's a entertainment, and sometimes I get some stuff out of it. But yeah, I was listening to that episode, and after they got past their small talk, they started talking about writing series and why you should and serials, and I'm just like listening to him talk, and I'm like, he's literally just answering my question. I gave them an idea for a podcast. Now, I don't think that's true. In fact, I think at one time Claire said we got the idea from, and it was something else. But in my head, I'm like, no, that was from me. Yeah. I wrote that long email, and now you got a podcast about it, which is kind of fun. So it made me happy. But it really didn't answer anything. I already knew the answer, which was to write in a series, which is kind of what they kind of landed on. So I don't have anything to share either. So we're going to be a short podcast this week. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really. I'm very hungry. I didn't have any lunch today, so
me too. Good call. I had lunch, but I didn't have dinner. I got to get dinner. Yeah. All right. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me jerry@jerryevanoff.com. Website jerryevanoff.com. Podcast, YouTube, Patreon links. If you like what we do and you want to pay us, feel free. Links are all in the show notes. It's patreon.com/newauthorpodcast. So if you want to do that.
Okay. My email address is rich@richkacy.com. Feel free to drop me a note. And I can be found shit posting on Blue Sky at Kacy himself.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, probably on Monday, to do this again. Thanks.
Take care.